Dubrovnik is Croatia's most famous coastal city. With hundreds of years of history and imposing fortifications, there are plenty of sights to see. In 1979, the city of Dubrovnik joined the UNESCO list of World Heritage Sites. The Franjo-Tudman Bridge at the western approach to Dubrovnik and next to the port of Gross. At 8 in the morning on October 27th, the Seven Seas Mariner anchored off Dubrovnik, and 1 hour later the ship's tender boats brought us ashore. The seas were rough under windy and cloudy conditions. We then were bussed to this lovely spot only a few yards away from Piles Gate. The walls of Dubrovnik are a series of defensive stone walls built between the 12th and 17th centuries. The powerful walls are one of the finest examples of medieval walls in the world and Dubrovnik's main claim to fame. The intact walls encircle the city in a curtain of stone over 2 kilometers long and up to 25 meters high, with 2 round towers, 14 square towers, 2 corner fortifications, and a large fortress. Unfortunately, due to bad weather, we could not walk the walls that offer amazing views of the old town and the sea. The Mincheta Tower is a strong fort facing land. The fort is topped with a great Gothic crown that spreads over the side of the fort, instilling a sense of power. The Gothic crown is mostly a decorative touch. Before we start the tour of the old town, let us get familiar with its layout. To the left, and identified with number 1, is one of the main entrances called Pillar Gates. Then, identified with number 6, is the main street called La Placa or Stratum. A UNESCO World Heritage Site, the Old Town, is where Dubrovnik's most popular sites are located, including several monuments, museums, forts, churches and palaces. We began our visit to the pedestrian-only Old Town outside the Pillar Gate. Above the bridges over the arch of the town's principal gateway, there is a statue of the city patron, Saint Blaise. Picture of the very impressive city walls entrance. In 1991, after the breakup of Yugoslavia, Dubrovnik was besieged by Serb-Montenegrin forces for 7 months and received significant shelling damage. Following is a chart showing the damage. As we entered the old town, Dubrovnik's wonderful promenade, the Placa or Stratum, extended before us all the way to the clock tower at the other end of town. Just inside the Pile Gate is the huge Onofrio fountain, constructed in 1438. The Saint Saviour Church is another remnant of the Renaissance period, located next to the much-visited Franciscan monastery. Another highlight of the old city is the Franciscan monastery. The earthquake in 1667 caused a lot of damage, but the remains show how beautiful the church used to be, and you can see its southern doors complete with a sculpture of the Pietà, a statue of the Virgin Mary holding the dead body of her son Jesus Christ. Another view of the Placa with the St. Jerome's Church Tower on the far right. This narrow street offers a glimpse of the famous Mincheta Tower.
All over the world, especially
A closer look at the St. Jerome's Church Tower. A look at some of the famous Dubrovnik stairs. The Church of St. Blaise on Lusa Square is an important church because it honors St. Blaise, the patron saint of Dubrovnik. On February 3rd, the saint's feast day, his relics, which are kept in the church, are paraded through old town streets. Ronald's column stands in front of the Church of St. Blaise. This column represents both Dubrovnik's value of freedom and its past loyalty to Sigismund, who was king of Hungary, Croatia and Bohemia in the 15th century. This highly detailed sculpture of the legendary knight is one of the symbols of Dubrovnik. The flag of the Republic always flies upon this column during official ceremonies. The interior of the Church of St. Blaise. The 14th century Dominican monastery in Dubrovnik features a lovely Gothic cloister, a working medieval well, a tranquil garden, and a fine museum of religious artwork. Here is a closer look at the 14th century gilded crucifix in the church. Lusa Square is where the city's clock tower stands watch. Originally, this clock tower was built by the locals in the 15th century. For safety reasons, the tower was brought down in 1906 and rebuilt in 1929. At that point, the digital clock was inserted into its stem. The clock itself resembles an octopus. Over the clock tower sits the old City Bell Tower, a 1952 reproduction of the 15th century original, where you can see Maro and Barrow, two soldiers made of bronze, hammer out the hours as they have done since the 15th century. Today's Maro and Barrow are replicas, as the originals are kept in the atrium of the Sponza Palace. The Rector's Palace is a combination of different architectural styles, and its look has evolved with the city. The Rector's Palace is now a museum that recreates how the interiors of the structure once looked. The Sponza Palace on Lusa Square is home to the Dubrovnik Archives. Its Gothic windows and elegant arches represent the best of Dubrovnik's architecture. This building, built in 1516-1522, once housed an armory, mint, treasury, and customs office. Another look at the Sponza Palace to the right and the Rector's Palace in the background. a great view of the Spansa Palace. The unveiling of Ivan Gundulik Monument in Dubrovnik on May 20, 1893 was a symbolical event since it brought to the surface the wider tensions between the Croats and the Serbs in the pre-World War I political struggles in the region. The Cathedral of the Assumption has offered archaeologists insight into the age of the Dubrovnik settlement. The church that currently stands on this spot replaced an older church, but that church was built on the site of an even older church from the 7th century, the foundations of which were revealed during renovation. A well-deserved break with hot chocolate and delicious cake. Unfortunately, due to the wet weather, we had to cut short our visit to Dubrovnik's old town. On the way to the shuttle bus station, we walked by this lovely nymph and satyr statue adorning a water fountain. As we rode the bus back to the old port to board the tender boat that would take us back to the Seven Seas Mariner, I kept my eyes wide open for a last glimpse of Dubrovnik. After our visit to impressive Dubrovnik, it was time to celebrate our 40th wedding anniversary, dining at the signature restaurant on board the Seven Seas Mariner that had set sail for the port of Ancona in Italy.